Sarah pressed her ear against Emma's bedroom door. The scratching hadn't stopped for 20 minutes. Scritch, 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 like fingernails dragging across wood. She checked the windows twice. No tree branches, no loose shutters. The sound came from inside Emma's room. "Emma?" Sarah whispered through the door. "Sweetie, are you awake?" Silence. She turned the handle. The 8-year-old lay curled under pink blankets, face peaceful in sleep. The scratching had stopped the moment Sarah opened the door. Her eyes swept the room. Stuffed animals lined the shelves. A tea set sat perfectly arranged on a tiny table. And there, slumped against the far wall, was the doll. The thing Mrs. Patterson had bought at that estate sale. "Good as new," she'd said. "Emma fell in love with it." Sarah studied the doll's face. Plastic features frozen in a permanent grin. Orange hair matted and wild. Overalls that looked hand-stitched. Something about its eyes made her stomach turn. They seemed too aware, too alive. She backed toward the door. The floorboard creaked under her weight. The scratching started again. Emma Patterson had begged for the doll the moment she saw it. Tugged on her mother's sleeve and pointed at the table of forgotten toys. "Please, Mommy." He looks lonely. Mrs. Henderson, the estate sale owner, had watched from her porch rocker. Ancient hands gripped the armrests like claws. "That belonged to my grandson Tommy," she'd said. Her voice carried across the yard like a warning. "Died in this house. Car accident." Emma's mother smiled politely. Small talk at estate sales always turned morbid. "How much for the doll?" "Take it." Mrs. Henderson's eyes never left Emma. "Some things need new homes." Now the doll sat in Emma's room, propped against the wall where she could see it from her bed. She'd named it Tommy, same as the dead boy. Emma's mother found her daughter arranging blocks around the doll's feet. "What are you building, sweetheart?" "A fort. Tommy says the bad things can't get him if he has walls." "What bad things?" Emma looked up with serious eyes. "The ones that took him before?" Mrs. Patterson felt ice in her chest. She'd never mentioned the previous owner's grandson to Emma. Emma used to laugh. Before the doll, she'd giggle at cartoons and shriek with joy on the playground. Her voice filled the house like music. That was 3 weeks ago. Now she whispered, moved through rooms like a ghost. Spent hours sitting cross-legged in front of Tommy, lips moving in silent conversation. "Who are you talking to?" Sarah asked during her second night babysitting. Emma's head snapped up. Guilt flashed across her face. "Nobody." "It looked like you were having a conversation." "Tommy doesn't like strangers." Emma hugged the doll tighter. "He says you're not supposed to be here." Sarah's skin crawled. The way Emma spoke, she might as well have been translating. "Emma, dolls can't talk." The little girl's eyes went cold. Ancient, like she'd heard something Sarah couldn't. "Tommy says you're wrong." Emma's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "He says lots of things you don't believe in." Sarah reached for the doll. Emma jerked it away. "Don't touch him." The scream came from somewhere deep and primal. "He doesn't like to be touched." Emma clutched Tommy against her chest. The doll's plastic face pressed into her shoulder, those painted eyes staring directly at Sarah. For just a moment, Sarah could have sworn she saw them blink. The house went silent except for Emma's ragged breathing. But something was breathing under the floorboards. Sarah blinked. The doll sat 3 feet closer to Emma's bed. She stared at Tommy's grinning face. the same spot against the wall where Emma always placed him. Except now, he sat beside the dresser. Sarah rubbed her eyes. Stress, long shift at her day job, mind playing tricks. She blinked again. Tommy had moved to the foot of Emma's bed. "What the hell?" Sarah's voice cracked. Emma stirred under her blankets. "He likes you," she murmured without opening her eyes. "Tommy wants to play the moving game." "Emma, wake up." "Shh." The little girl's voice carried a strange authority. "You'll scare him away." Sarah backed toward the door. Her eyes locked on the doll's plastic face. Those painted features held no expression, but something watched her from behind them. She blinked. Tommy sat on Emma's pillow, 6 inches from the sleeping child's face. Sarah ran. Mr. Patterson installed the camera after Sarah quit without explanation. Good babysitters were hard to find, and Emma needed supervision. The feed streamed to his phone. Most nights showed nothing but his daughter sleeping peacefully. Tonight was different. Emma sat upright in bed, speaking animatedly to empty air beside her pillow. Her hands gestured like she was explaining something important. Occasionally she'd nod and smile at responses only she could hear. The conversation lasted an hour. Mr. Patterson called his wife into the living room. They watched their daughter's lips move in silence on the small screen. "She's probably dreaming," Mrs. Patterson whispered. "With her eyes open?" They stared at the feed. Emma laughed at something, a real laugh, the kind they hadn't heard since the doll arrived. Then Emma's expression changed. Her face went serious. She leaned forward like someone was sharing a secret. She nodded once, then twice. Emma climbed out of bed and walked to her dresser. The camera angle caught her profile as she pulled something from the bottom drawer. Kitchen scissors. She returned to bed, scissors clutched against her chest, and resumed her conversation with the invisible friend. Mr. Patterson was already reaching for his car keys. The basement door had been sealed for months. Broken water heater, flooding. Mr. Patterson kept meaning to call a contractor. The key hung on a hook in the kitchen. Only the parents knew where it was kept. So how did Tommy end up sitting on the basement steps? Mrs. Patterson found him when she went to grab Christmas decorations from storage. The doll sat perfectly upright on the 3rd step down, facing the locked door like he was guarding something. "Emma," she called upstairs. "Did you take Tommy downstairs?" "Tommy doesn't like the basement," Emma called back. "He says the water still remembers." Mrs. Patterson picked up the doll. His overalls felt damp despite the dry air. She carried him upstairs, skin crawling at the way his head flopped against her shoulder. "How did he get down there, Emma?" asked Tommy. Emma barely looked up from her coloring book. "He remembers everything." Mrs. Patterson set the doll in Emma's room and checked the basement key. Still hanging in its place. Still the only key to that door. That night, she woke to the sound of footsteps on the basement stairs. Slow, deliberate, like a child learning to walk. She shook her husband awake. "Do you hear that?" They listened together. The footsteps stopped. In the morning, Tommy sat on the basement steps again. How did the doll get into the basement when nobody has the key? Mrs. Henderson arrived unannounced at sunset. Her ancient Buick wheezed to a stop in the Patterson driveway. She climbed the porch steps with urgency that defied her age. Her knuckles rapped against the front door like gunshots. "I need to speak with you about the doll." Mr. Patterson recognized her from the estate sale. The woman looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. Is there a problem with it? Tommy died in a car accident. That much was true. Her voice shook. But he didn't die alone. Mrs. Henderson pushed past him into the house. Her eyes searched frantically. Where's your daughter? Upstairs. Why? My grandson was driving home from his friend Marcus's house. They'd been playing with that doll all afternoon. Marcus was in the passenger seat. She gripped Mr. Patterson's arm with surprising strength. Both boys died on impact, but only Tommy came home with the doll. Emma's laughter drifted down from upstairs. Two voices giggling together. Mrs. Henderson's face went white. Marcus has been looking for his friend for 6 years. Emma built the blanket fort in her closet. Away from cameras. Away from parents who wouldn't understand. She crawled inside with Tommy and lit the flashlight. Show me again, she whispered. The doll's head turned slowly until those painted eyes met hers. When Tommy spoke, his voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Press harder next time. Emma examined her arm. The scratch marks had already healed. Faint pink lines across her forearm. It didn't hurt enough. Pain opens doors. The more it hurts, the easier it is for Marcus to come through. Emma picked up the scissors. The metal felt cold against her palm. Will it hurt him too? Marcus wants to feel everything again. He misses having a body. She positioned the scissors above her wrist. Her hand trembled. What if Mommy sees? Tell her you fell. Tell her anything. Marcus has been waiting so long to play. Emma pressed the scissors against her skin. A thin line of red appeared, deeper. The closet door creaked open. Mrs. Patterson's face appeared in the gap. Emma? What are you doing in there? Emma shoved the scissors under a pillow, playing with Tommy. And Marcus? Mrs. Patterson's voice carried a strange edge. Emma's blood turned to ice water. Who told you about Marcus? Her mother's eyes held knowledge that terrified her. Father Martinez blessed himself before entering Emma's room. Holy water, silver crucifix, prayers in Latin that echoed off the walls. The doll sat in its usual spot, plastic face serene. In the name of Christ, I command you to leave this place. Tommy's head tilted slightly to the right. The priest's voice grew stronger. You have no power here. Return to where you came from. Emma watched from the doorway. Her parents flanked her like guards. Father Martinez approached the doll. His crucifix caught the lamplight as he held it forward. I cast you out, unclean spirit. The temperature in the room plummeted. Their breath came out in white puffs. The priest touched his cross to Tommy's forehead. The doll's mouth opened. A child's voice emerged, thin and desperate. Please don't make me leave, Emma. I don't want to be alone anymore. Father Martinez stumbled backward. The voice continued pleading. Marcus gets so angry when he's by himself. Emma helps him remember how to be good. The priest's hand shook as he gripped his crucifix tighter. I've been protecting her from him. But if you send me away? The lights went out. In the darkness, they heard Father Martinez gasp. Something clattered to the floor. When the lights returned, the priest was gone. His silver crucifix lay broken beside the doll's feet. Father Martinez left his cross behind and never returned Sarah's calls. Emma stood in the kitchen at midnight. The knife felt heavy in her small hands. Her parents slept upstairs. They'd hidden all the scissors after finding the cuts on her arms. But they'd forgotten about the carving knife in the drawer. Tommy sat on the counter beside her. His painted smile seemed wider now. Are you ready? Emma's voice sounded different, older. The doll nodded. Emma raised the blade above her chest. Her movements were mechanical, practiced. It won't hurt for long. She pressed the tip against her nightgown, the fabric door. Mrs. Patterson appeared in the doorway. Emma, stop. The little girl turned. Her eyes had gone completely black. Emma's not here anymore. The voice that came from her throat belonged to a teenage boy. She's sleeping inside where it's safe. Mrs. Patterson lunged forward. Emma's hand moved with inhuman speed. The knife sliced across her mother's palm. Blood dripped onto the kitchen tiles. Emma smiled with someone else's face. Marcus always gets what Marcus wants. The real Emma floated in darkness behind her own eyes. She could see everything but control nothing. Marcus wore her body like stolen clothes. He flexed her fingers, rolled her shoulders, testing the fit. Through her eyes, she watched him approach her father's bedside. The knife gleamed in the hallway light. "Let me out!" Emma screamed inside her own head. Marcus laughed with her voice. "Tommy tried to keep me away for so long, but Tommy's just a child. I know things he never learned." He raised the knife above Mr. Patterson's sleeping form. "Please don't hurt Daddy. Your daddy's gonna help us stay together forever. One cut and his life becomes ours. Then we'll never have to leave this house." The blade descended. Mr. Patterson's eyes snapped open. He rolled away as the knife embedded in his pillow. "Emma? Not Emma." Marcus grinned with her face. "Never Emma again." Mr. Patterson grabbed his daughter's wrist. She fought with strength that shouldn't exist in an 8-year-old's body. The knife clattered to the floor. Marcus tilted Emma's head with mechanical precision. "Tommy says goodbye now." Emma felt something shift inside her mind. Tommy's presence, warm and protective, began to fade. "Don't leave me alone with him," but Tommy was already gone. Marcus stretched Emma's arms wide and laughed. Sarah pulled into the Patterson driveway for her cleaning job. The new family had specifically requested the house be spotless before they moved in. Strange that the previous owners had left so suddenly. No forwarding address, no explanation to the neighbors. She unlocked the front door with the realtor's key. The house felt wrong immediately. Too quiet, too cold. Sarah climbed the stairs to the children's room. According to the real estate agent, the new family had a daughter about 8 years old. The bedroom door stood open. 2 dolls sat on the bed. One she recognized, the red-haired boy doll in overalls, Tommy. The other was new, a little girl doll with brown hair and a blue nightgown. Her painted face held the same permanent smile as Tommy's. Sarah checked the realtor's notes. The previous owners had left everything behind, even their daughter's toys. She reached for the girl doll. Its eyes blinked. Sarah stumbled backward. Her hand hit the light switch. In the darkness, she heard 2 children giggling. When she found the courage to turn the lights back on, both dolls had moved closer to the edge of the bed. A sticky note had appeared on the nightstand. Child's handwriting in purple crayon. "We can't wait to meet our new sister." Sarah ran from the house and never came back. But the realtor found a cleaning lady who didn't ask questions about the previous tenants. The house never wanted to be empty.